Golden rule is you never use a condom that the stripper gives you.
Yeah, you bring your own, and I can't.
Did you know that rule, Jerome? Oh, that's what y'all doing online?
Oh, no, Your Honor. I did not know nothing about that profile right there. I did not know nothing about that one.
Mr. Lennon knew companionship like that. He knew it when he hit me up.
I wasn't having children.
Well, apparently not grown up enough, because you like your fiddletails, don't you?
Yeah, okay, Miss Three Men.
Grow up, David.
She claims a man tricked her into wanting a baby and wanting to have a family. The big question is, does anyone really get tricked into wanting a family if you don't actually want it? Anyway, that happened to be the case here. Ms. McDaniel was in court today, claiming she was tricked by Mr. Lennon into wanting to have a child with him. But as soon as she got pregnant and had her baby, he wasn't as persuasive as he was before. Mr. Lennon, in his view, said she was a gold digger, and all she wanted was his money. Let's find out who's telling the truth, shall we?
You say you were tricked into having a baby by the defendant, Mr. Lennon, but once you got pregnant, he ditched you and immediately denied he'd fathered your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lennon, you say the plaintiff is nothing but a promiscuous gold digger and there is no way you're her son's biological father. You suggest she contact the multiple men she slept with during the window of conception.
As you would expect, the first question in Judge Lowen's interrogation session was how Ms. McDaniel was tricked into having a baby. The way she claimed it happened, you would think Mr. Lennon cast some kind of spell on her, trust me. She claimed he told her that he wanted to have a child that was biologically his. Apparently, he already had 2 kids that weren't his from birth, but Mr. Lennon said all that was a lie, and he met her on a dating site. From his facial expressions, trust me, this man wanted nothing to do with Ms. McDaniel's baby.
Biologically his, because he have 2 that's not his, and he's the deadest because he signed a birth certificate.
You know, Your Honor, that's not true. When the simple fact is, when I met her off of a site. And from me meeting her from a site, I wanted to see what kind of person she is and see if she wanted to have a life.
He also wanted to have sex with me, Your Honor. He asked me for my number on the site.
Things were starting to get quite interesting in the courtroom. In Ms. McDaniel's story, her hopes were very high on finding someone whom she could have a beautiful romantic relationship with. Was that how it played out when she met Mr. Lennon? Oh, trust me, it was no romantic setting, trust me. The very first they met, the first thing they did was have sex. If you ask me, I doubt any of them were looking for a long-term relationship. The craziest part was they didn't even wait to get home before it went down. They had sex on the road. Looks like Mr. Lennon likes his women a little bit freaky.
Too, when you meet a person, they tell on their own self what they're about. When we had sex on the road, when I pulled over, we had sex on the road. Then when we got to my house...
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you meant like down the road,
no,
like a wild path. You meant literally on the road.
Oh, no, not like that. When we pulled over, we had sex on the road, off of the road. But then when we got to my house after we had sex,
sex was all on his mind when he hit me up.
Here's where the questioning from Judge Lauren gets pretty intense. Both Mr. Lennon and Ms. McDaniel finally admitted to the courtroom that they had sex on the very first night, even though they weren't so proud of themselves that they did. But here comes the juicy part. Mr. Lennon initially wanted to be her boyfriend from the very start. After finding out she was 15 years older than she was, he decided to play the card of wanting to be her sugar daddy. Well, Mr. Lennon, that's not a very good move.
Boyfriend, which I quote-unquote my sugar daddy.
That's not true at all.
Your sugar daddy?
My sugar daddy.
Oh, no. Your Honor,
hold on, wait. What's the age
daddy.
difference here?
I'm 42.
What's the age difference here? 42?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you
27.
Okay, so 15 years.
So a sugar daddy.
Were you looking for a sugar daddy?
Me, I was looking for somebody to really be my boyfriend.
Let's dive into the evidence aspect of this case, shall we? The question on everyone's mind is what attracted them to each other. Trust me, the things you're about to hear will leave you speechless. It looks like Ms. McDaniel wasn't telling the whole truth after all. In a way, she was looking for a sugar daddy. She claimed she had no father figure in her life, and so she needed someone who could play both the role of a father and a boyfriend. I guess Mr. Lennon fits that description perfectly. But the bio on her dating profile was something else.
Big, beautiful woman.
So Mr. Lennon
Promise there are no disappointments. So treat yourself to this big chocolate bunny. A chance to fulfill all your wishes and desires. I'm waiting to hear from you. Oh, that's what y'all doing online?
Oh, no.
You couldn't really blame Mr. Lennon for his hesitation to accept the baby. He claimed in his past he had been scammed on several occasions by 2 different women who claimed he was the father of the child, but when the results were done, his heart was broken. These two just couldn't seem to agree on anything at all. One thing was for certain, though. Mr. Lennon wasn't going to gamble on the fact that the child could not be his. But Ms. McDaniel said that was all a lie.
Your mother don't want the same thing to happen with this child.
My mother
And I told
do not
my
want me
sister
to
about
get
it.
hurt like I did twice before.
I
Being
told my
hurt by-
sister all about it, Your Honor. Everything. I tell my sister everything.
Is this your sister here?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to hear from you, ma'am. Please stand up to the podium. State your name for the court.
Letitia McDaniel.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. McDaniel.
There was so much commotion and confusion going on in the walls of that courtroom. It was starting to look like Mr. Lennon wasn't being completely honest with his version of the story. Ms. McDaniel's sister was in court, and when she stepped up to the stand, she had some truth bombs to drop. Trust me. Apparently, Mr. Lennon had told her in one of their conversations that he was going to take care of the baby. Confusing, right?
I even had a conversation with Mr. Lerner.
And what'd he say?
About he was going to take care of her.
No, Your Honor, I did
He
not
was gonna
say
take
that.
care
I
of
did not
the baby.
say that
He
to
was
that
gonna
woman.
put her and the
No, I
baby
did not say
in
that.
a
No, the only time
three-bedroom
I
house.
talked to your sister is when she was in the hospital, and that's when I was introduced to her. Y'all called me from the hospital, and then you hadn't heard of
But
phone.
you did tell me that you
I
was
did
going
not
to take
tell you
care
that,
of both
sweetie.
of
I
them.
did not tell you that.
Okay.
I did not
Yes,
tell
she
you
did,
that.
Maurice.
These two had given Judge Lauren so much headache. After so much investigation, the only way to sort out their mess was to reveal the DNA results. It's finally time to see who among these two has actually been telling the truth. Eyes on the judge, people.
Mr. Lennon, you are not the father.
Like I told you.
Plaintiffs can lie, but the DNA,
Don't lie.
it doesn't lie.
Ms. Heiser definitely didn't enjoy her marriage to her ex-husband. Trust me, with the way they referred to each other in that courtroom, you could tell there were almost no happy moments in their marriage. Now Ms. Heiser referred to her husband as a deadbeat who abandoned her and his only daughter, all because he felt she was unfaithful to him. Mr. Anbe claimed the child wasn't his, and her cheating skills were top legendary. I didn't tell you these two had a bad fallout.
Sir, you say your ex-husband, Mr. Anbe, is a textbook deadbeat who abandoned you and your daughter almost 20 years ago. You claim Mr. Anbe has spent that time inventing outlandish excuses for denying his only daughter, but you say it all comes down to child support. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiser wasted no time in explaining what she meant when she referred to her ex-husband as a deadbeat. It was almost impossible to not see how disappointed she was in herself for getting married to Mr. Anbe. She claimed that since the birth of her daughter, he was never present to support her and her child in every way that a husband should. Talk about someone having so much regret that they met a person. Ms. Heiser fits the description perfectly.
Heiser, what do you mean by textbook deadbeat?
Exactly what it means, Your Honor. He's never been there for Gabrielle since birth.
Stole time with
Emotionally,
Rachel.
physically, financially, in every term a father should be. In the beginning, when I first met him, he seemed like a stand-up guy, a family man. Within the first year, we decided to get married.
Now, there are always two sides to a story, and it was time to hear from Mr. Anbe why he felt he wasn't the father of Ms. Heiser's child. When he was asked why he had doubts about being the father, the things that came out of his mouth left the entire courtroom speechless. He said one random evening, a man who he had never met before walked up to him and asked him what they were going to do about his daughter. Oh, trust me, you heard perfectly. If that happened to me, I'd definitely get a DNA test done as soon as possible.
Another man had walked up on me and asked me what we were going to do about his child.
Referring to Gabby?
Yes, ma'am.
So a man walks up to you on the street and just says, I'm the father of your wife's baby.
Basically,
Did you ever ask your wife about this?
she basically blew me off.
Ms. Heiser, do you remember this conversation?
It's the biggest lie I've ever heard, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiser was on all-out defense in the courtroom. She said that she had never heard the story of a random guy walking up to meet Mr. Anbe and asking him that question. In fact, she was just hearing that side of the story for the first time in the courtroom. Now, who among the both of them is telling the truth? Things escalated pretty quickly, and Mr. Anbe dropped another truth bomb saying, Ms. Heiser always kept 3 men around who she slept with frequently.
About this
I've never
baby?
heard of this at all, Your Honor, before today.
She keeps at least 3 men around.
You're the waste of time.
So, Ms.
find out
Heiser,
soon.
at this point, he tells you, some man told me you pregnant. He says you blew him off, but you don't remember the conversation at all.
The conversation never happened, Your
So
Honor.
when you found out you were pregnant with Gabby, what did you do? You just told your husband, I'm pregnant.
According to the way she put it, Mr. Anbe was never like this. In fact, when the baby was born, he was super excited to have his own child because he felt he was incapable of having children. If he was so excited about having kids and couldn't wait to hold her daughter, where did everything fall out of place? I mean, for two people to get married, they must have at least had some level of love in their hearts, right?
So you tell him you're pregnant and he's happy. Did he express any doubt at the time?
He didn't express any doubt until about 3-4 months down the line when we had our first argument. We didn't speak for a couple of months. Then he came back again, another argument, takes off again. That was his style. David don't face anything head on, including parenthood. He runs.
I'll face anything I need to if it's mine.
Okay, David.
Judge Lauren was making no progress with both Mr. Anbe and Ms. Heiser. You could even say it felt like an interrogation session gone wrong, because all these two wanted to do was argue and argue and argue. There was no other choice left than to speak to the daughter in question and ask her how she felt about the whole situation. Guess what? She also admitted that she never felt a fatherly presence in her life.
He was never really been in my life. My 5-year-old birthday party, he showed up to it for about 10 minutes and he left, told me he was going for a toy and didn't show back up with this toy and didn't see him for years later,
So he came to your 5th birthday for 10 minutes and told you, I'm gonna go get a toy. And never came back.
never came back.
Well, it was evidence time, and Mr. Anbe went straight to the evidence board to further explain why he couldn't trust Ms. Heiser while they were married. Looks like Ms. Heiser was no saint after all, and Mr. Anbe had his reasons for doubting the pregnancy. He was one very good detective because the way he uncovered how his wife was cheating on him will blow your mind.
He told me what was going on, so I immediately shot out the back door, cut across the neighbors, and came over to the house, to the front door, and which was open. So I opened the door. The bedroom is maybe 40 feet from the front door.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Anbe and Ms. Heiser. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks!
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Anbe, you are the father. I can see you truly shocked.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks like today was the day. Being a long-term client of an exotic dancer came to bite him in the ass. Ms. Murray brought a man who she claimed has been her customer for over 10 years to court on the claims that he was the biological father of her 15-month-old baby. She wants him to own up to his baby and start taking responsibility. Mr. Lee, on the other hand, said there was no way in the world he could have fathered her child since she entertained so many men. And all they had was a one-night stand.
You are here today to get Mr. Lee to stop denying that he fathered your 14-month-old daughter, Winter. You demand he man up and own up to his responsibility after today's DNA test. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lee, you had a one-night stand with Ms. Murray before her pregnancy, but claimed she later confirmed she was not pregnant by you. You admit to one night.
Just like the previous case, she referred to Mr. Lee as a deadbeat. She claimed he had not done anything for her baby, and she had no idea why he was denying fathering her child. In Mr. Lee's defense, he claimed to already have 6 kids whom he provided for without any issues. She was only trying to put the baby on him because she knew he was a good guy. For some reason, the courtroom was not buying his story, and so was the judge.
Not done anything for Winter.
That's ludicrous. I have 6 other kids.
Exactly.
And I am not the father of her baby. She wants this because she's trying to pin this baby on me because she know I'm a good guy and I'm a good father.
You're not a good anything. You're a deadbeat. You barely take care of them 6 kids that you got. So.
And Winter's 15 months, and you're saying that Mr. Lee hasn't done anything
He
for?
has not done nothing.
Well, you can trust Judge Lauren to dive straight into the interrogative aspect of the case. The whole courtroom was looking forward to this aspect because they wanted to know how Mr. Lee and Ms. Murray found themselves in such a funny situation. The skeleton started to pop out of the closet and the truth started to drop bit by bit. Ms. Murray said she was a very good dancer for Mr. Lee. Hearing that, I'm sure you see why no one wants to believe his side of the story.
I met Mr. Lee at the club. I used to be a dancer, and he was my customer for about 10 years. So that's really how I met him. He was infatuated with showbiz. But once he got to know Demiki, he did not like me, and he's taking it out on his innocent
But he was your customer for
child.
10 years.
Them
Yes.
lies. Them lies.
Mr. Lee, tell me about this woman you fell for. Was it?
Things could only get more intense with these two. Both of them were very good at one thing, and that was calling each other lares. Oh, trust me, they knew how to play that game really well. Now Mr. Lee admitted that he broke what he would like to call the golden rule. Trust me, your jaws are going to drop when you find out what his golden rule is. It will leave you speechless, just as everyone in the courtroom was left speechless.
You know, I broke the golden rule.
You broke the what?
The golden rule.
The golden rule?
Yes.
What's the golden rule?
You never use the stripper's comp. Never.
It was not mine, Fabian. It
Oh.
was yours.
Oh, the golden rule is
Yeah.
you never use a condom that the stripper gives you.
Yeah, you bring your own, and I
Did
can't.
you know that rule, Jerome?
No, but
Here's where the cat jumps out of the box. If you remember, the initial story was that they only had sex once because it was a one-night stand. Well, guess what? The story changed all right. Now they were saying they had sex again, and this time it was without a condom. Oh, trust me, it was really hard getting the truth from these two.
I had sex with her unprotectedly the second time because she had already told me she was already pregnant. So I'm like, you can't get pregnant twice. I'm out the clear, you know.
What
Now how I'm gonna be pregnant after the first? It was like 3 weeks later. So how I'm gonna be pregnant after the first
second time.
Wait, the text messages have already said that she told you she wasn't pregnant.
Exactly.
No, but this was like afterwards. This was after.
Talk about a case having some intense investigations. This was certainly one of those kind of cases. Now the truth bomb keeps coming, and guess what? There was another man in the mix. Ms. Murray admitted that she wasn't intimate with only Mr. Lee, but another man too. Well, that's definitely not surprising if you ask me.
Probably like a week before that.
So around the third week
Probably.
in March. So wait, I want to take a look at a calendar so we can outline this. The blue indicates the day you had sex with Mr. Lee, March 30th. The green outlines when you had sex with the other man, which was March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So Ms. Murray, is this calendar correct?
The tension was palpable, but no worries cause the moment of truth was here. Time to spill the beans on whether Mr. Lee is the father of her baby or not. All eyes were on the judge as she got ready to give the final verdict.
Mr. Lee, you are the father.
Baby like to say, whoop whoop. That baby. Look at her. She's beautiful. She looks just like you, baby. Really?